Now we'll have our third speaker. Let's welcome Bob Capano. He's an adjunct professor of political science at CUNY colleges. He is a former district director to our Congressman Bob Turner. He's also a past city council candidate and political columnist for the Brooklyn Courier Life newspapers. Join me in welcoming Bob Capano to our club. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, it's great to be here. So many friends, as Phil mentioned. I had the privilege of being the district director to former Congressman Bob Turner, and to me, there was no more honorable, good, sincere man and Congressman than Bob Turner. And of course, what happened? Albany redistricted him out of office, and that's a shame. And I wish we could export some of this energy and enthusiasm here in Queens to my home borough of Brooklyn. I mean, this is great. So many great leaders here. And it's the importance of local groups like this that matter, specifically to help battle the indoctrination of the younger people, because it's up to all of you to give them a balanced viewpoint, because of the home and the family, in the communities, right? To show them, look, it's not just what you hear in colleges, it's what happens at the grassroots community groups. And I've taught political science classes at John Jay College, Kingsborough Community College, and St. Francis College. And I haven't really publicly said this, but one of my students way back in the early 2000s was one of your local council members. One of your favorite, Vicki, Eric Ulrich. So that's true. But as was said, social science classes, Republican conservative professors are so outnumbered, and the reason that's such a shame is that in social science classes, that's where ideas really do matter, where it's important to have that exchange of viewpoints. So when I first started teaching at John Jay, I can't tell you how many students came up to me and said, Professor Capano, we really appreciate that you don't give us a biased viewpoint. You give us all points of view. And one of the things I think all of us on this panel try to do, and I think Republican conservatives, professors in general, is that when we go into a classroom, we don't try to impose our viewpoint. We give the balanced viewpoint. In other words, we're better. We do it the right way. We teach the right way. And I have to say, the left so often, you know, it's attack, it's protest, and to me, that's wrong. And one of the things I was just thinking about this morning, in some of my remarks, what I would say is, you know, I teach American national government, and we talk about the Constitutional Foundation, we talk about the Federalist Papers, Federalists versus Anti-Federalists, and Federalist number 10 with James Madison, he talks about factions, right? And how a group united by some common passions or interests would naturally come together. It's just human nature. But the danger was that they would come together and do things adverse to the public interest or adverse to the rights of others. And in government, the answer to that, with the Federalist number 51, was checks and balances and separation of powers to guard against that in government. But what about places like college campuses? What's the answer to guard against that there? And part of it is your academic Bill of Rights, and we always have to be on guard to try to prevent that, to try to make sure our students are getting that balanced viewpoint. And I don't know about you, but when I was going to college, I went upstate, Orange County Community College in New Paltz. I just didn't feel that pressure of professors trying to indoctrinate me. Now, of course, the left always has had that advantage in the classroom, but it just seems, and it's a fact, that over the past, since the 1990s, it's gotten so much worse. It's like, it's a free-for-all in trying to push students to believe in that far left agenda, and that's wrong. Whatever happened to professors just teaching, just listening, allowing students to express that viewpoint? Again, it was so shocking at John Jay and even at Kingsborough Community College when students said, wow, thank you for teaching me and giving that balanced viewpoint. And they didn't have to fear raising their hand and giving an opposing viewpoint. And it's just a shame that we see even student groups on the right, they can't even invite speakers to their colleges without getting them shouted down, right? We all know what happened at Binghamton, where Art Laffer, a Reagan administration official, spoke for all of 11 seconds before students with their bullhorns got on their desks and shouted them down. That is unbelievable. That sponsoring organization, the Young America's Foundation, you know, they didn't have that opportunity to present that speaker. To me, the better thing to do was let the man speak. And if those people who didn't like what he was about, ask some tough questions. That's what it's about. That's what it should be about. So instead, they chose mob power and intimidation, and unfortunately, that is the answer of the left on college campuses and in the communities. And I'm going to say something here. You know, in New York City, it's the answer to the left. We all know what happened with Daniel Pantaleo, that police officer who was fired. You can't tell me that part of the police commissioner's decision was that if he's not fired, there's going to be mass protests in the street by the left. I believe that that was part of it. And again, that is the problem with the left, that intimidation, that mob power. So we on the right don't resort to that. You know, we just don't. And I don't know if that's a sign of weakness or not, but I still think that's the right thing to do, that we do it the right way. You know, we still have to believe that the facts are on our side and that we are not going to go down that road. And you see more and more college classes, things about white privilege, you know, teaching classes, white privilege. But you know what? Our own Department of Educational Commissioner, Richard Carranza, is ushering it in at the Department of Education. I mean, it is unbelievable. It is. And more faculty on the right have to do more with their, you know, have to do more to fight this. And, you know, we're trying, but at the end of the day, it comes down to who's going to stand up. You know, whether it's the Academic Bill of Rights, whether it's the local communities, whether it's groups like this, that's just unacceptable that there can't be free speech on campuses for all. It can't be a one-way street. And unfortunately, that's what it's become. You know, when I used to work for, you know, Bob Turner, I also worked for former Congressman Vito Fasella in Brooklyn and Staten Island. You know, answering those constituent calls, you knew who was calling just to have a dialogue and trying to convince your boss of their viewpoint. But you also knew who were just the rabble-rousers, who just wanted to protest, who just wanted to fight, and there was no reasoning. And that's also true on college campuses with some of these left-wing groups and left-wing professors. They're not interested in having an honest, sincere debate. They're interested in just shutting you down and expressing their viewpoint, and that's wrong. And unfortunately in today's society, and specifically in New York City, is that we see more and more that the left is going to extreme measures, and it's just wrong. And as I do in my college classes, you know, I prefer to listen to my students, have a robust debate, and I want to, you know, do that here as well. So I'm just going to cut my remarks short. I know we had a great panel, so I want to hear from you. But again, it's not hopeless. There's three of us up here trying to do the right thing, and we need some help. So thank you.
That was great. Thank you very much, all three of you.